The Pitt Panthers' dynamic Sunday, largest comeback win in program history, 32 points. Hadijah Fye was fantastic, and her forward counterpart, Michaela Johnson, carrying the load for the Panthers tonight. NC State led by its guards, Isaiah James, top 10 scorer in the ACC, and tonight Rivers can do everything right for the Wolfpack. It's the Wolfpack and the Panthers coming up. And with that, a great night for women's college basketball here on the ACC Network Extra. Number 21 NC State back in the polls. They're rolling for their last 5 wins. Pitt has come in off its best win of the season. First ACC victory, which means we're on tap for a great night. Welcome into Reynolds Coliseum with the coach, Derek Jordan. I'm Evan Budrovich. This Wolfpack team wears a 4 or 5. What makes them dangerous come March?
For NC State, it's the dynamic duo of Isaiah James and Sanaya Rivers. Isaiah is the leading scorer. She's hit 15 points against Stanford in their most recent victory. She can drive the basket hard. She's got a beautiful step-back 3. She scored double figures in 25 straight games. Meanwhile, for Sanaya, she is the heart and soul of this team. She leads the team in rebounds, steals, blocks. She really brings the energy for the Wolfpack, and her 17 points head lead to the victory over Stanford on Sunday.
Sanaya Rivers, one of the best players in the country to complement James. And for Pitt, that huge comeback Sunday, not only legendary performance, but how do they carry this forward into tonight?
Well, Hadijah Fye is their leader in points and rebounds, but tonight they really need to look to a second scorer. Michaela Johnson got 22 points in the win against SMU, which led to that historic comeback, the greatest comeback in Division I women's basketball history.
Holding SMU to no points in the third quarter, 28-0 run for Pitt. And talking to Tori Verdi this week, he said it was a Hollywood script. That comeback amazing. Now Pitt looks to move that forward tonight. And it's an important night at NC State, honoring Debbie Antonelli into the NC State Ring of Honor here at Reynolds. Opening tip goes to Pitt. And the Panthers fresh off their first win since early February of last year in the conference. Starting with the basketball, Brooklyn Miles operates the point. Team captain Marley Washenitz goes inside, and Hadijah Fye the early miss.
And that's a fifth-year senior going up against a freshman, so Pitt's going to try and exploit that matchup all night long. Trigger with a good job on that first possession.
NC State on this end, 5 players averaging 9 or more points. So much balance for Westmore's club, including Trigger, who misses her first shot. The Swedish product underneath, true freshman. Miles pushing tempo with Fye underneath. Nice bucket. Fye, the lone player in the ACC, averaging a double-double. How does she carry that forward tonight?
Well, it's getting post touches, but getting them deep. You saw how she was able to get on the block right there. Coach Westmore is going to have to do something different to get her pushed up off of that spot.
An early steal for Pitt. Think about the energy coming off a 32-point comeback Sunday. And Coach Verdi hoped that carried forward, not just the momentum, but playing well night in, night out.
Well, Coach Verdi, he was very emotional after that game. He was just so proud of the way his team fought. And I think we're going to see them bring that fight to this game right from the start.
Good steal for Sanaya Rivers, who's top 10 in the ACC in those takeaways. Works it ahead to Zoe Brooks, the sophomore, who's really upped her passing in the conference. 5 assists a game here in ACC play. Complimenting Isaiah James in the starting 5 and her first 3.
She's got such a sweet jumper, 33% from the three-point line. And Pitt allowed SMU to shoot 33 threes in the last game, attempts. But they missed a lot. NC State's going to try and reverse that script today.
James now up to 26th in program history in points. Just over 1,230 in her career. Here's Johnson on this end, a bit short on the jumper. Westmore's club pushing tempo in a huge win Sunday over Stanford. 81 points, 5 in double figures in that blowout second half performance. So Rivers lets it fly, and she's a bit short. Brooklyn Miles, the senior captain, goes to work, wants a foul, and it'll stay here. Good.
NC State, their first score right here. If you leave Isaiah open, hands down, man down, you got to shoot that shot. She nailed it with the switch.
Well, she's only 11th in the league from 3. Her range opens up the court. As Marley Washenitz works it inside. Fye on the mismatch beats Trigger.
That still continues to be the question for NC State. How are they going to handle Fye underneath?
Hadijah Fye, 21 and 12 in the comeback win over SMU. The Texas transfer really locked in. Speaking of Brooks, locked in. Another 3 for NC State.
She hit 2 big threes against Stanford. She's only hit 9 line for the year, but she's really starting to come into her own from that distance.
Brooks, an ACC play, over 12 a game. She's been that complimentary piece for Coach Westmore. Here's Phi up top. Pitt trailed by 32 in the first half Sunday. Much better start here in this first quarter. Inside to Phi, and an offensive foul. That's into the body of Trigger.
Zoe Brooks leads this team in assists, but right here, she's able to get some space. Wide open three, nails it. Such a good player for the Wolfpack.
The NC State marketing staff hand out 3 foam fingers tonight. Back-to-back threes for the Pack. They're following the marketing script.
It's like they wrote it up. They knew exactly what the Wolfpack needed today.
The director would be very proud of that Oscar-worthy performance. As Hayes hits another three.
The threes coming threes right there. Hayes with a big one. State starting to get a lead here in the first quarter.
This is a State team that only makes 7 threes a game. But Derek, what makes them dangerous when they're not getting these threes?
Well, they're so good at driving to the basket with James, Rivers, and Brooks that if you've got to come out on those shooters, it's going to open the driving lanes even more.
What a start. 3 of 4 from deep. And Phi is fouled underneath.
Now you see NC State made an adjustment right there. Hayes came hard with the double team as soon as Phi got it, but you can't foul right there. Hayes a little bit too aggressive.
That's the first on Madison Hayes, who's playing in game 113 of her career. Both her and James have the same number of games, both fifth-year seniors.
They came into the program at the same time, even though James is a 4th year and Hayes is a 5th year, because Hayes came from Mississippi State.
Khadijah Phi, the Texas transfer, goes to work. And a really hot start. That's important to get Pitt involved early.
Right. She's establishing early right now that she can't be stopped one-on-one. And if they start to double, that's going to open up some things for the rest of the team.
Bit of a matchup zone for Pitt, and NC State breaks it down with Hayes.
Both teams shooting pretty well here early.
Johnson going to the bucket. Phi holds on. Good look to Washington's. The lefty into traffic. An and 1 for Washington's.
Marley is the glue for this team. She's such a hard worker. She came in, and in the middle of the season, they made her a captain just because of how hard she works.
Could you say she put James in the spin cycle for Washington's?
She took James to the wash right there for Washington's.
That broadcast score is really paying off for you there.
Right.
I'm Evan Budrovich. Great night here in Raleigh. And Pitt, fresh off its first ACC win, showing a lot of momentum early here for second-year coach Tori Verdi.
Pitt showing a little bit of three-quarter court press right here.
Brooks into the double, dribbles out of it. And a quick touch foul on Brooklyn Miles, the team captain out of Frankfort, Kentucky.
Pitt had a nice trap right there, but they didn't seal the sideline, and Brooks was able to go around. I watched a little bit of Pitt Duke as well. They were 9-9 this far into the game, and then Duke went on a run. So Pitt can start off well, but they can't let things snowball.
Remember the Duke game, Pitt only scored 30 points. One of best Duke performances defensively of the year. As Brooks goes inside, here's a kick out. Rivers attacks the bucket, and that's offensive. An important call because that would have been Phi's second foul.
She did a nice job of stepping up, taking the charge, but it looks like she's shaken up a little bit.
And we'll show you why here.
Rivers with the shot fake and drives. Phi gets there. She's sliding a little bit, but she got an elbow, it looks like, into the chin, into the nose possibly. Rivers with a good piece of sportsmanship right there, making sure she's okay.
Third school in 4 years for Khadijah Phi. And what Coach Verdi has done to unlock her post presence coming from Texas, it's been fun to watch.
Well, Coach Verdi, this is his second year at Pitt. Last year was Leatu King, who went on to be All-ACC. This year it's Phi. He's doing an excellent job of teaching posts. We talked to him a little bit about that yesterday, that's his bread and butter ever since he was an assistant at Kansas and Nebraska. And it's showing now that he's a successful Power 4 head coach.
And what Coach Verdi did with a former player of his, Kelsey Griffin, third pick in the WNBA draft 10 years ago, he said that's the trajectory for Phi. She can play down low with physicality, as this time a miss underneath. Phi has exploded. Lone player in the ACC averaging a double-double. Another block shot that time.
Well, and she didn't play a lot in Texas, and Coach Verdi is really unlocking her potential now at Pitt.
Phi has 6 points so far, working for the rock underneath. That's the question with these Panthers. Secondary scoring outside of Phi. Khadijah says no problem. That time a bit short. A 3 of 6 start shooting.
Might have been just slightly out of her range right there, top of the key. Pitt's in man-to-man, but a lot of switching here, trying to prevent those driving lanes.
Facing a Wolfpack team that's second in the ACC in shooting. Very efficient as Rivers has it blocked. Loose scrum to Miles. The team captain pushes it ahead to Washington. It's another three, and Brooks the board. Now Brooks pushing tempo. Zoe 1v4. James into traffic. Hayes, good extra pass, and Traeger is fouled. That'll lead us to a timeout and a red-hot start for 3 for NC State.
Yeah, for NC State, it's a transition. That's really what's getting them going, but still Pitt hanging into it. 11-9 for the Pack.
Welcome back to Raleigh. A unique route for Pitt's top player, Hadijah Fye, started her tenure at Texas Tech. And then after a year coming off the bench for Vic Schaefer's team at Texas, what's unlocked for Fye this year in her 5th season?
Well, at Texas, she just didn't get a lot of action. Even when NC State played them in the NCAA tournament, she only had 2 points in limited minutes. But getting a chance to get an everyday role, being the go-to player, has really unlocked her abilities. She's got such a strong post-up game. She draws a lot of fouls. She's 8th in the country, 1st in the league in free throw attempts because she takes it strong.
127 free throws, Derek, and we're halfway through the season.
It's impressive how often, and she's earning her trips to the line. Those aren't easy calls. It's her strength underneath that's forcing those calls. And
when you're out shooting from the line, Tanaya Latson and Olivia Miles, you're doing something right getting to the bucket. Here's Fye underneath again, testing this State defense. Traeger holds firm, and Fye gets 2 more. And
that's 8 for her. She is on track to be first-team All-ACC the same way that King was last year for Pitt.
Is that your bold prediction for 2025?
That is not so bold right there to pick that one. I think she's certainly to get some All-Conference honors.
Has 7 double-doubles this year in the paint as Brooks hits another floater. Hot start for the sophomore.
Pitt right there looked like they were packing in a little bit on the zone, and Brooks just took an easy 12-foot jumper, probably too easy.
Back inside to Fye. Here comes the double team. Open 3, and Elmore misses. That'll be an important shot for Pitt tonight.
Right, Elmore, she's 31% from 3, but the way that Fye is right now, you've got to send the double and make somebody else beat you.
So Michaela Elmore, one of 9 healthy players, the Clemson transfer. 2 starters, Amaya Jenkins and Kiera Williams, out for the year, and then Lauren Russ no longer part of the team. So just 9 players available for Pitt. Here's James in the corner, as she just missed. Defensive board, good hands from Aislinn Malcolm off the bench. Valerie Collier is checked in for NC State, the sophomore center to Tennessee.
Collier with a little bit more strength underneath. Now right there, just as I speak of it, she gives too hard of a bump there trying to fight with the ball screen, but she's going to push Fye around a little bit, make it a little bit tougher. And that's the challenge for Westmore's team, replacing River Baldwin, replacing Mimi Collins, 2 All-ACC players, finding the right fit in the post, especially against a good offensive opponent. A lot of times it comes down to matchup. I think we'll see Collier more. She had 8 big points against Stanford when there was some foul trouble. I think she'll get more minutes today as well. Now Pitt on this end, shooting the lights out in the paint, but struggling outside the 3-point arc. Shot clock to 5. Elmore needs help. Late in the clock, Malcolm, good block. Not in Rivers' house. Sanaya runs the break. Rivers coast to coast for 2 more. We talked about it in the open. Rivers is the do-everything player for this Pack. The steal and the bucket there gets the crowd into it. She is certainly a fan favorite. Elmore on this end clanks the 3. 2 points, 2 rebounds, 2 steals for Sanaya. Deuces are wild here in Raleigh. Fresh off a West Coast swing, big win at Stanford Sunday. The Wolfpack back at home as Zoe Brooks hits her second 3 and 4 triples for the Pack. And Zoe is coming along that 3-point shot, forcing a timeout by Pitt there. It was close, but NC State trying to make a run. And NC State's defense feeling this run. Right, Sanaya Rivers playing. The shot clock was going down, so she knew she had to take it. Not only did she block it, she took it all the way home for the layup. And immediately after another stop, Zoe Brooks gets the open look here, hits a second 3. Wolfpack's got it rolling up 18-11.
So that's the literal 3 fingers that the marketing staff passed around with the foam fingers.
It's almost like they had a meeting with Westmore and the team during shoot-around and said, hey, we got the foam fingers today, so light it up from outside.
Right, when everyone in the stands has the finger, you got to play the part.
Exactly. Back in my day, it was big signs that had the number 3, and I have a bunch of those in my closet, but now we're adding foam 3s to the mix.
With the former Towson assistant coach, Derek Jordan, I'm Evan Budrovich. Red hot start for the Pack. 58% shooting. As NC State gears up for Kamora Johnson and Virginia Sunday. But an important tune-up tonight with a much improved Pitt club.
This Pitt team only won 8 games last year. They've already got 9 this year. Definite improvement. We know the top 15 teams in the league make the conference tournament. They were picked 18th, so their goal is to get the postseason play. Big win against SMU, starting them on that road. And
a win tonight, Pitt would be in the field halfway through this conference slate. As Phi goes down to the floor, a tussle with Hayes, and possession goes the other way.
It's interesting to start the game that Coach Moore didn't go with double teaming Phi right away. He wanted just to see how his post was going to handle it, but immediately he could see how good she was. Now NC State sending the double team every time, making it harder for her to operate.
It's NC State defense fueling a 7-0 run. Wolfpack won this matchup by 40 when the teams met in Pittsburgh last year. Here's James, and then another 3. I mean, you can't stop her tonight. 3 and 3.
And the foam 3s go up again in the crowd.
5 first quarter triples. Phi on this end gets the friendly bounce, and she's up to 10.
That was really impressive right there. She had a quick turnaround. She knew the double team was coming and beat it before Hayes could get there.
How do you play this game of 2 for 3 if you're Pitt defensively? What a steal. And then Rivers gets it back. Sanaya operates, no look. Hayes blocked and a foul. Okay, second on Phi.
That will be something Coach Verdi's got to decide. She has been the entire offense so far. For NC State here, they saved it, got it in deep. Oh wait, that's the steal. There we go. Got it in deep right here and drew the foul on Phi. Like, that is the game plan, is to go at her, make her play defense. So she's got to work on both ends of the floor.
So Madison Hayes to the free throw line. That's the Pack's first free throw make of the night.
But the answer in terms of what does Pitt do defensively, I mean, coming in knowing how well NC State penetrates, you're thinking we're going to give up some 3-point shots and hope they miss. Unfortunately, so far they haven't missed, so you're going to have to adjust the game plan a little bit, come out, or you keep with it and just trust that the percentages are going to work themselves out.
Keep in mind, Pitt's yet to make a 3, 0 for 4, working the ball way inside. As Audrey Biggs gets her first minutes, the freshman out of Kentucky. Here's Johnson deep. Another miss for 3. Hayes the board.
Pitt has to move Elmore to the 5, who's really a traditional stretch 4.
And that's the matchup on Collier, the sophomore underneath for State. Brooks gets space. A rare miss for Zoe. She was perfect until that shot.
It's always so good off the dribble. You feel like she can go get her shot anytime she wants. That was a little bit of a force.
And Westmore's challenged Brooks to be more offensive-minded, especially here in the ACC, where she's now put up 13 a game in the league. Good hands from Hayes and a steal for the Pack.
Great deflection right there. Clean. 19 left here in the quarter. NC State will hold for the last shot.
A 5-3 first quarter. Looking for 6. Hayes the 3. Just off. A chance for Washinitz. Marley gets space. Open 3. Now that's how you end the quarter. Cole Bank to break.
Washinitz banks it in. NC State took the shot a little early. Washinitz, she kept her poise, went all the way. She knew she had 4.5 seconds. So she
23 of the year for Washinitz, and that's how you end the quarter. We got a 7-point game in Raleigh. Red hot start for the Pack, Derek. 5 threes in that first quarter.
Right, Pitt's been sagging off a little bit, and NC State has made them pay. NC State shoots 35% from 3 in conference this year. Really hot with 5 out of 8, and it's come from different sources. You got James, you got Hayes, you got Brooks. So NC State is really putting Pitt into a bind here on how they're going to try and keep defending the Wolfpack.
Those 5 threes are a single quarter record this season for the Pack, dating back to the Ole Miss non-conference game back in November, December time. And now we're in winter season.
NC State's got shooters. They've got players that can make it, but they're so good off the dribble. A lot of times that's their bread and butter of how to score.
Keep in mind, 2 fouls for Hadijah Fye, so she starts on the bench. Elmore will play the post role for Pitt in the second quarter. Good post position for Michaela Johnson, who had her career guest 22 Sunday, but Rivers the defensive assignment tonight.
Well, and the big question right now for Pitt is where's the scoring going to come from with Fye off the bench? And as an analyst, I got to tell you, I'm not sure. I think they're going to struggle right now. Probably got to go to Johnson and see if she can get some one-on-one, but she's going up against one of the best defenders in the conference in Rivers.
And Coach Verdi challenged Johnson this week. I need you to step up and score. Well, Sunday she did just that. 22 off the bench. But Washington's is red hot. Back-to-back threes.
The captain, Washington's right there. 2 threes. That could be the answer. She had 14 against SMU and has really picked up her game in conference.
And then good active hands defensively. There's a turnover. Washington was a coach voted captain. A lot of times players vote on these things, but Coach Verdi loves what she brings to the table.
Coach talked about at the beginning of the season he had 2 captains, Brooklyn Miles and Fye. But after about a month just seeing how hard Marley works, she took over and got coach voted to be a 3rd captain.
Called her his hardest worker on the team, and now over 400 career points for Washington. That's a big first half for Pitt. 9 early on. Fye is back into the game 1 minute in this quarter. Good pass to Elmore. Extra ball. Miles there. Good ball movement.
Good cut there by Miles. The double team came on Fye, and so NC State was in a rotation, and Pitt made him pay.
How about Pitt? 7 assists on 9 buckets. That's a coach's dream for the underdog tonight. Lacey Steele into the game for State, and she's fouled on a 3. A chance for 4.
Lacey Steele hit 2 big threes against Stanford on Sunday when the Wolfpack was in foul trouble. Right here, we got the extra pass over to Lacey. She's ready to shoot. Nails it, and the 4-point play possibility. And I got to tell you, it is a difficult role. She's such a good shooter, but when you sit the bench for 10, 12 minutes and all of a sudden you come in and you're expected, hey, your role is to shoot it, so you got to shoot it. So give her a lot of credit for being ready.
That's Lacey Steele's 7th 3 of the year. That's up the court for the Wolfpack. There's Marley Washington, who's been red hot in the first half. Now Fye with the 2 fouls is something to watch here if you're Pitt. And Collier got away with some contact. There's Johnson in the space. Michaela, the Colorado transfer, opens for 3. There's the response. Third triple for Pitt.
Johnson played against NC State last year for Colorado. Also only got 2 points. That was at the Paradise Jam. So both Fye and Johnson have seen NC State and are familiar with them.
A Pitt team that only makes 3 threes a game. They have 3 in this first half. Brooks gets in the lane, and a kick ball on Fye.
And one of the things we wondered coming in was that comeback win going to breed a lot of confidence for this Pitt team. And you can see it, 27-24. They believe that they are in this game. And so far, they're proving that they're on pace to hang with NC State.
Pitt's been battle tested in their 3 losses. Georgia Tech, Duke, Louisville, who are all 3 in the top 5 in the league. It's been a tough schedule for Pitt early. But Coach Verdi mentioned Sunday flipped a switch. It showed his team they can compete with anybody in the league. Down as many as 32 in a comeback win by double figures as Brooklyn Miles is called for a 2nd foul.
Well, in that Duke game where they only scored 31 points, it's almost like once Duke put a run on them, they just didn't have it anymore. And against SMU, they were slow to start. But that 3rd quarter, that 28-0 quarter, it's like that's the spark that could lead this team for the rest of the season. Whether it's a victory tonight or just collecting victories as we go, I think they can make the ACC tournament.
Keep in mind, Pitt won just 2 conference games a year ago, so any win the next few weeks is a huge success. As Rivers spins in the lane, beats 3, and she's roaring here in Raleigh.
Well, that's why she's an All-American and WNBA prospect right there, is that her drive and elevate is better than almost anybody in this conference. Here she gets it on the skip pass, the spin move, and even though Elmore's a post player, she just elevates right over and scores.
The roll and roar for Rivers.
Her enthusiasm is so infectious, not just for this team, but for this crowd. She stays after every game and shakes about 1,000 hands because everyone loves her. And she's just been quite a role model for this Wolfpack team.
And ever since she's dyed that hair red, Rivers changing her hair color in January, her production's gone up almost 5 more points a game. Maybe something to that, maybe not.
That's right. Well, red hair puts the red Wolfpack.
It fits the home faithful here in Raleigh with a foul underneath on Mallory Collier guarding Phi.
I really think the turning point for Sanaya this year was that Davidson game. NC State struggled with Davidson a lot. There was no scoring, and it was almost like Coach said, hey, Sanaya, take the ball and go score. Nobody can stop you. And since that point, she's been much more aggressive with her offense.
Rivers had 25 in that game. A late comeback win, 2 for the Pack. They've won 4 of their last 5 since, as Phi goes off the window in double figures.
You can just see how talented she is. She has got pro potential written all over her, whether it's here in the WNBA or overseas.
You hear Coach Verdi anchoring out his defense here as Brooks breaks the double. Battle for the boards. Miles has it. And 3 starters on the court now with 2 fouls for Pitt. This is a big 7-minute stretch. Phi underneath on Trigger. Traveled on the attack.
That time just got caught shuffling her feet, rushing it a little bit because she knew the double team was coming. So give a little bit of credit to NC State. Even though it feels like an unforced turnover, she knew she had to rush, and it led to the turnover.
A Wolfpack club that raced out of the gates against Boston College in their last home game, won by 30+. A much tougher start. Good credit to Pitt here early. Trigger gets the switch. Easy layup for NC State.
And there's the danger there, because NC State's been shooting the 3 so well. Pitt had to extend in that zone, left a wide open layup.
Washinitz, the lefty, sneaks inside. Goes back to her favorite hand, and another bank shot. I love the old school looks here for Pitt.
I love that left-handed shot, and she likes the spin move. Very talented player, hard worker.
Now in double figures for Washinitz. Guy's 11. And there's been 4 banks for Pitt tonight. I got to go to pregame shoot-around sometime, see how it works in practice. Tough to beat Pitt in a game of horse as Rivers dribbles in the lane. She misses. A defensive board for Elmore, who then escapes more traffic.
23 on the shot clock. We're going to get a 10-second call.
There it is. 10-second violation.
That was a tough break for Pitt right there, because there was a scramble for the ball and the clock had reset. So we're at about 27, 26 seconds by the time they got possession. Pitt just wasn't aware of it.
A big substitution now for NC State. Zam Jones, who last appeared December 15th with a hand injury. You see her right hand taped up. Her first minutes back since early December. And when she was on the court, what a 6th woman weapon for NC State.
Zam was definitely on pace to be 6th woman of the year. She had 18 against Louisville. It's been huge in some really big games, including South Carolina and Ole Miss, where she scored double figures as well. So the setback is tough for her. But if she can get back going, she's going to be a weapon to help this team in the postseason. As
James brings it up the court, Jones was one of 6 players averaging 9 or more for the Pack. And Trigger way off on the 3.
Trigger hits 4 threes against Cal, so she's getting some confidence right there, but wasn't close on that one.
Pitt trailed by as many as 10, have inched back to 4. And let's see who this foul is on. It's on Trigger defensively. Khadijah Phi draws more fouls than any player in the ACC, and she's already drawn 4 tonight.
And I bet Coach Verdi was holding his breath right there, because she's already got 2. They're both banging. And so any foul right here would definitely put her out for the rest of the half.
Both coaches animated on the benches as we near the halfway point of the second quarter. Washinitz gets some space. The captain arcs a 3. Air ball.
She went with the step back right there. She was a couple feet behind the line, and she's a player. Her range is perfect when she's towing the line, but not going to extend it as much because she's got such a high arc on it.
Made 3 triples in the second half Sunday in that 32-point comeback. Now on this end, Hayes breaks down the zone. Misses the free throw, and Phi with another board.
It's a great shot for Hayes right there, but still that's what Pitt's looking to give up, a long 2-pointer.
What has allowed Pitt to stay in this game, Derek?
Well, Phi, of course, in the first quarter, but it's been Washinitz here in the second quarter, hitting a couple of threes.
Phi heads to the free throw line as Pitt will go back with the basketball when we return. Quick timeout here in Raleigh. We got a 4-point game. Pitt battling tough against NC State. Khadijah Phi, red hot start, 12 points for Pitt. What's been cooking offensively?
Well, for Phi in the first quarter, getting it deep in the paint. You see she's got a foot in the paint when she's trying to score, and that's going to be impossible for NC State to stop. But that jumper, it's also a bit of a surprise for 5 that's led to her 12. On the other hand, for Pitt, Marley Washington has gotten 11 points, most in the second quarter. She's kept Pitt in the game while 5 has been in or out with foul trouble. So the two of them working together has really been what is keeping Pitt in this game.
2 in double figures for Pitt. NC State, meanwhile, 5 players with 5 or more points. And yet, in a 4-point difference, Pitt has held NC State scoreless the last 2 minutes. And here's Washington with the basketball, clock to 10. Good screen from 5. Washington's into the lane, into the spin cycle. 2 more.
Washington's comes from an athletic background, the cousin of Mary Lou Retton, the 1984 gymnast, gold medalist. So you know she's got some athletic genes.
Here at the home of the ACC champions in gymnastics here at NC State. Little matchup zone. So James breaks it down. Zam Jones, oh, that's offensive. And again, Khadijah Faye playing with 2 fouls the whole quarter. That's an impressive play.
That is a huge gamble right there, though. She got the charge, but she's putting herself at risk. James with the shot fake and the drive right here. Probably want to go with the pull-up, either a shot or a pull-up. Instead, she had a running pass, and that led to the charge. But I tell you what, for Coach Verdi, keeping it at 2 points, if you get maybe 1 more minute out of 5, I'm going to pull her for the rest of the half, make sure she's only sitting at 2. This is a danger time to make sure she doesn't get to 3.
Here's Audrey Biggs into the game, finds Brooklyn Miles. Awu comes in defensively. Miles in the lane, draws a foul on Awu. And Lorena's first foul off the bench for NC State.
So you've got Trieger is the starting post for State, but she doesn't have the same strength. Collier came in, gave some minutes. Awu's coming in to give some minutes, and really, she's probably in there just to bang and just trying to force her to be physical, because NC State is happy to trade a 5 foul for an Awu foul. So we'll see how they go against each other next couple of minutes.
Previous plays under review for a timing error.
The plays under review for possible timing issue with the clock. And if you're Tori Verdi right now, this is the perfect script for Pitt in this first half.
It's exactly what he was looking for. NC State, they're going to look at the timing area to see if the clock kept running. It looks like the foul was maybe at 3:51 and went down to 3:45, so they just didn't stop it. I think they'll go back to 3:51 there. But for Coach Verdi, we talked to him last night, and he was confident, he was optimistic, but he still knew this was a very difficult matchup. But this is exactly what he would have hoped for. He's got 5 doing great. We talked in the opening, would there be a second scorer to step up? We thought it might be Johnson. So far, Washington, she's got 13. But really, you see their energy, you see their fight, you see their confidence. It's so different than what you saw when they played Duke about a week ago.
Brooklyn Miles is 64% shooter, hits her first free throw. And this is not a strength of the Pitt Panthers. Bottom 5 in the league from the line at 68%. Looks pretty good there for Brooklyn Miles.
No press here by Pitt. They're dropping back into that tighter matchup zone.
A 10-point game early in the second is now even in the last 4 minutes. A Wolfpack team that couldn't miss from 3 early have been held scoreless for 3 now, as James breaks the drought from deep.
Big answer there for NC State as Pitt had tied it up. James puts them back up by 3.
James is red hot, 3 of 4 from deep. And here's the matchup, Faye on the freshman, advantage NC State. Dan Jones extra pass, James again. A bit off, Johnson the board.
This was the playbook against SMU for Pitt, was to force 3-point shots, make them beat them from 3. NC State's got 7, but still, they're right in this game.
Held SMU to just 2 buckets in the second half in that 30-point comeback, and there's a foul on Awu, her second.
It was an incredible game if you go back on ESPN and watch it. Pitt was just dead out of the water, down 32, didn't have the energy. In that third quarter, it was play good offense, play hard defense, and it was just possession after possession. You could see it building. And then when Washington's hit a 3 to cut it to 12, you could just feel the entire building change. It was at Pitt, and they just brought it all the way home. 31 straight points, actually, counting the first bucket of the fourth quarter.
So Khadijah Faye, who's 8th in the country in free throw attempts. And as you see here, one of the best free throw shooters in the ACC. The more Khadijah gets to the line, the more dangerous this Pitt team is.
It gives them opportunities for quick free points and to set up their press when they need to. It's a big advantage to have a post not only that gets to the line but makes them.
So 13 now for Phi. Top scorer on the floor. Rivers gets the switch. Great look. Incredible pass to James.
And Rivers given the goggles because she saw it from a distance. You've seen this Wolfpack team do that a lot after a great pass.
Passing like another NC State legend, Philip Rivers, here in the Wolfpack. No relation. As Sanaya tips the board. Last touch by Pittsburgh. This passing is next level from Sanaya.
Sanaya's got such great vision right here. I mean, she's 35 feet from the basket, one-handed whips it in. And give credit for James, too. They work together so well, the dynamic duo. They just know each other's game. They know when to cut and when to feed each other. James working the baseline again.
The Pack have 9 assists on 13 baskets. Here's a foul on Washinitz. And now both teams will go to their bench for a second.
Rivers is down right there. She was cutting to the basket. I didn't see exactly what happened. Looks like a hit to the midsection. Rivers was making a cut here, and Washinitz didn't look like that hard of a hit, but it just got her in the right spot. Hopefully she's walking it off now.
The previous play is under review for contact.
They're going to review it, take a better look at it, and make sure that it wasn't something flagrant.
I was going to ask you, this is not a call they could overturn to no foul, correct? This is more of a upgrading the foul?
Right. It's going to be a foul regardless. It's just a question of, are they going to upgrade it to something more severe? And again, they'll get multiple angles at it to check it out, but it looked like she was just bumping the cutter and just hit her too hard.
An important note, that'd be the third on Washinitz here.
Yeah, Washinitz has been a difference maker in the second quarter. And to have, here we'll go. I mean, you see her bump the cutter. I don't think I see anything flagrant there, though, but it definitely just took Sanaya down.
Remember, call on the court is a foul on Washinitz. So the officials just confirming this. Tiffany Bird, our lead ref tonight, with Kevin Spartak and Ashley Gross.
Washinitz has been a difference maker with 13 points. And it would be a tough loss for her with three fouls. If it was flagrant, she might get another one.
Well, we have a second. Sunday, ACC Network. We got a quadruple header. Hold on 1 second.
After review, the call of personal foul stands.
So coming up this Sunday, we'll head to Chestnut Hill. Boston College hosts Syracuse at noon. And then this Pitt team you see tonight, they'll get ready for North Carolina back at home, followed by a fun match at Louisville, Virginia Tech, and Notre Dame, who just won tonight over Georgia Tech. So undefeated in the ACC, and then welcome new conference rivals SMU at 6 o'clock on ACC Network.
That Notre Dame team is a national championship contender, no doubt. Ranked number 3, they have all the pieces.
As Lorena Owu goes inside, who's the biggest threat to Notre Dame in the ACC?
I mean, we're obviously in Reynolds Coliseum. I really still think it's NC State because their backcourt is so dynamic. They can take over a game and win it with just Rivers and James.
There's a foul on Elmore fighting for space. I wouldn't sleep on Duke defensively. Reagan Richardson and Tiana Mayer bring to that Duke team, but you're right, from an offensive standpoint, State's dangerous.
Right, so you got Duke defensively. You've got Florida State with their offense, with Latson is certainly a contender. UNC has been looking really good. They got a couple of veterans over there. So there's 5 or 6 teams in this league that can win it for sure. But if Notre Dame is playing in their A game, I think they've got to be the favorite.
And all of a sudden, ACC newcomer Cal with Yana Kramili, 4-1. Really good wins over FSU and State last week. Here's Sam Jones back in the lineup with a miss, and Michaela Johnson the board.
Being out 5 games for Zam, it's going to take her a while to probably find that range. She was such a good shooter before the injury.
Phi is double teamed, and that shot no good. An adjustment from Westmore defensively. Tori Verdi said, you can't let the maestro cook. You got to change up all the looks against NC State. And that's what kept this a 4-point game. Hayes an open 3 in the face of Phi, no good. Save Miles, nice effort.
And if I'm Coach Verdi right now, I would be getting Phi out. I don't want her to get that foul in the last 90 seconds. We'll see what he does.
Rolling the dice with 18 in the shot clock. Miles on the switch, challenges Hayes. Johnson, size mismatch, good hands, Jones, and a jump ball. Turnover on possession.
And one thing that Jones brings to this team is energy and fight and enthusiasm. I think they missed that a little bit when she was out. I sat behind the bench for a game. Even when she was out, she was in the huddles and really talking people up. That's a great defensive play right there. Slid her feet, just pure contact on the ball, no foul. Big time stop for the Pack.
Biggest takeaway for Wes Moore's team, it was the defense at Stanford in the second half, holding the Cardinal under 30 points in that final half. Led to a 14-point win on the road. Look at the ball movement for Rivers. She enters a bit strong on the jumper.
Stanford was undefeated at home. They're a really good team, especially in Maples.
Hadijah Faye underneath is whacked. And unlike whack-a-mole at your local Chuck E. Cheese, that one's going to hurt. Here's a foul.
Yeah, that one's not going to feel good. Faye looks like she shook it off, though. It was a great pass ahead. Lorena Wu was trailing it. And then if you're going to foul, if you do it within the rules, of course, if you're going to foul, make sure she doesn't get a three-point play. So give credit to James there for keeping her from getting the three-point play. No injuries. Kept it clean, just took down her arm.
Worth noting, third foul on James, so Devin quickly checks in. True freshman out of Manchester, New Jersey. Hadijah Faye continues to cook at the free throw line. 14 points for Hadijah, who only scored 2 when these teams met in the Elite 8 last year for Texas under Vic Schaefer. Big portal addition for the Panthers, and she's rolling tonight. 15.
Huge credit again to Coach Verdi for the way he's helped develop her this season into a bona fide star.
Final minute of his first half. Maddie Cox is coming to the game for NC State. Wu doubled. Wu challenges Faye, and that rolls out. Good defense, especially with 2 fouls.
Right, I like how NC State went in to try and draw that third, but she held her ground, forced a tough shot and a miss and a rebound.
There's Washington, who has 13 herself. Pitt not playing the 2-for-1 game. Instead, Faye in the double. A steal for Quigley.
NC State can go last shot here if they want it.
Pitt has gone scoreless in the last 4 minutes from the field. And now decisions for the Pack. Audrey Biggs the assignment. Rivers with 7. Backdoor slip. Brooks hangs in. Throws up a prayer and it's answered. And a creative bucket ends the first half. We got a tight one here in Raleigh.
Very good game. Both teams playing very well. Pitt showing you why they are much improved from last year. NC State did some great things in the first quarter, but has let Pitt hang around a little bit. So we've got an exciting one coming up in the second half.
4 players in double figures in this first half. We got a lot of offense. And coming up with the break, NC State honors their alum, ESPN analyst Debbie Antonelli. There's Debbie. She'll get inducted into the NC State Ring of Honor when we come back. Plenty more from Raleigh, including Debbie's show, when we return.
Outstanding career at Cary High School, Debbie Mulligan became a 3-year starter for Cal, a key part of 2 regular season and 1 ACC tournament championship. When her playing days were over, Debbie Antonelli stayed in the game as a basketball analyst, where she has become a Hall of Fame broadcaster. She also uses her voice to help grow the game and devotes hours to community service. A lifetime board member of the Cal Cancer Fund, the Special Olympics, and her Nothing But Net fundraiser that has raised over $1 million. She's played an integral role in the new Elevate program at NC State to help those with intellectual and developmental disabilities. For all that she has done for the community, for basketball, and for NC State, her own banner will now hang in Reynolds Coliseum among the honored numbers and the coach who helped her dream come true.
It means more to me than I actually can express through words. My relationship with Coach Al was 30-plus years, and I admired her, I loved her, I miss her. Everyone that has helped along this path has been a part of the team in some form or fashion. It is going to be up there with me, and that's the way I look at it, because it's always been about team.
past 4 decades working with ESPN and ACC Network. She is a 2-time Emmy Award winner and was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2022 and the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame in 2021. Debbie has also played an integral part in creating NC State's new Elevate program, which provides campus experiences for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Debbie is joined on the court tonight by her sisters, Denise and Katie, parents Paul and Peggy Mulligan, husband Frank, and her 3 sons, Frankie, Joey, and Patrick. And now, direct your attention to the rafters as we add Debbie Antonelli into our ring of Wolfpack greats and forever honor her inside Reynolds Coliseum. And fans, let's hear it one more time for Wolfpack legend Debbie Antonelli, the newest member of the NC State Ring of Honor.
Special moment for one of the greats here at NC State, Debbie Antonelli. And a really cool moment here at NC State. When we come back, we're going to talk to Debbie about the night and enjoy this special halftime ceremony. Back inside Reynolds Coliseum, a special night. We want to take it back to the fall when, Debbie, you got the first news of being a member of the Ring of Honor here at NC State. A special moment leading to tonight, where now Debbie with her friends and family here at Reynolds Coliseum. Welcome back, and what a pleasure to have Debbie Antonelli with us. Describe the emotion of this evening and what this moment meant to you.
It's hard to summarize exactly how I'm feeling right now. I just never expected ever in my life to ever experience what I've been able to experience, especially the last couple of years in my career, but especially this. When I look up there, I just don't believe it. It's just unbelievable, really.
And Debbie,
I'm grateful. I'm very grateful to Boo and Stephanie and NC State and everyone for honoring me and expecting me to carry out the representation of NC State on the women's side and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, which is doing my job.
well, it's very much well-deserved that you have been an inspiration and a mentor to a lot of people in women's basketball, and your motto of build, serve, empower. I think you've lived that in how you go about how you've done it. But if you could go back to that first broadcast when you were at University of Kentucky, started this journey, what would you tell yourself about what's about to unfold over the...
You know, it's such a different time in the game, right? The landscape was so different. The only game on for women was the CBS National Championship game. And so there weren't many women on the air that I saw. I wasn't aware. I didn't know this could be a career path for me. I thought I was going to be an athletic director. And my passion for the game just allowed me to stay in that lane. And I just kept creating opportunities for myself so that I could stay on the air. And then there came a time where I had to choose, and I'm grateful that I chose to go to the broadcasting route. So it's not it wasn't a familiar path for anyone else. It definitely was carving out my own space.
And how fitting tonight being on Kay Yao court, your relationship with Coach Yao, and now being honored right next to her and the entire family. This moment, this atmosphere, what has this meant to you?
Well, when I come into Reynolds Coliseum, I always look at the floor and look at her name first, because I had a significant role in helping her get on her name get on the floor, and it means so much to me to see her name, and it means so much to all the former players. A lot of times when I sit in this seat or I speak with a microphone about NC State, I do feel like I represent all of the 160 of us that played for Kay or worked for Kay, was a manager for Kay. It means so much to me to see her name on the floor, and then I always look up to see her banner, and you know, two of my teammates are up there, and it's a special time in the game. You know, the mid '80s, we had good teams, and we had a good product back then, and I'm just so glad today that people are celebrating this team, how good this team is.
And talking about Coach Yao, I mean, she's meant so much to both of us and everybody in women's basketball. We've got the Play for Kay initiative coming up, especially the one here is so important. What is that Kay Yao Cancer Fund meant to you and being on the board there?
Well, again, I feel like I get the opportunity to speak on behalf of former players and managers and people that have been around Coach Al, and we know that ultimately you can look at her Hall of Fame resume and you can see all the accolades and the things that she's accomplished, but ultimately making somebody else's life better was what she did as a teacher, and she used basketball as her platform to do that, and now she's using her platform to eradicate cancer, and we're doing everything that we can with the KL Cancer Fund to try to do the right things by her legacy, and for her legacy.
When you talk about serving, what you've done for Special Olympics, all the money you've raised, and for the new program that you started at NC State, you're creating your own legacy, and so we're just so proud that you're a part of NC State and what you've given back to the game and the university.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Debbie, and congrats joining the Ring of Honor. Special moment here at NC State.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Debbie.
The second half of action here in Raleigh. Top 25 NC State and an up-and-coming surging Pitt team, 35 points. Khadijah Faye, who's put on an all-ACC performance, leads the charge. And for NC State, it's Zoe Brooks who stepped up with 10 for the pack.
Yeah, and for NC State, the 7 3-pointers have been key for them on the offensive end, but one stat we haven't caught up on a little bit, Pitt is out rebounding NC State 20-15, and I would not have expected that. I know Faye's a great rebounder, but the rest of their team's a little bit undersized, so I think Coach Moore's probably going to emphasize trying to win that rebounding battle and not give up any second chance points.
Great point. Khadijah Faye here in year 5 has carried the load, 15 for Pitt. And to start the second half, Faye in foul trouble with 2. Works through a triple team, dribbles out of it, Brooks to the floor, and a foul on Brooklyn Miles.
Looks like Zoe Brooks took the worst of that right there.
So Brooks is very slow to get up after getting knocked in the head.
We had the double team, and then looks like maybe she got like a knee to the back of the head, thigh maybe, or just a hip, but still it took a
ouch regardless.
Took a definite tough hit, and with James out with 3 fouls right now, NC State suddenly gets a little bit thinner in the backcourt.
You see Zoe checking on the back of her head, making sure everything's okay. Brooks has been integral here in the conference. Tonight more of a scorer than a passer, but has been elite moving the rock in ACC play. Now against this matchup zone for Pitt. Good pressure by Washington's. Washington's right in the grill of Brooks. Like a windshield wiper on a snowy night, always in your grill. Rivers kicks it out. Jones with 3. No look to Trieger in the nick of time.
What a great pass. Sam Jones been out for 5 games, but with James with foul trouble, she's playing more minutes than maybe expected, and that was a huge drive and dish.
Here's the matchup. Faye on Trieger, and a rare miss for Khadijah. Out of bounds, NC State basketball.
I thought maybe Rivers would take it, but she dished it off to Zam there, and perfect little pass. Tilda bobbled it a little bit, but got control of it soon enough to beat the shot clock.
Trigger had a really good week in California. Double-double at Cal, and then 10 points versus Stanford. Rivers draws the 3rd foul on Faye. So free throws for Sanaya Rivers.
Over the last 3 games, Tilda is averaging over 13 points a game. She started the last 4, and so as a freshman, it took her a while to get used to the physicality of this college game in America, but she is really starting to thrive, and that is a game changer for NC State as they build towards March.
Depth at the post position. That was the huge question for the Pack entering the year in the top 10 in the preseason. They've regained their form largely due to balanced offense. 5 or more players in double figures, especially in this stretch of January. And now Rivers, who has 6, joined with Hayes 7, James 11, Brooks 10. That's the balance Westmore wants.
Well, I think as good as NC State's been the last couple of years, you expect them to win every game. But, I mean, their 4 losses are to top 20 teams, including that Cal team last week.
In terms of net rankings, they have 3 top 25 wins to NC State. And then 4 quality losses as Faye goes window again.
That is a tough matchup. I think NC State will send the double team again. Coach Moore not happy about that because they didn't get any extra help.
The art of you going off the glass. It made Tim Duncan millions with the Spurs in the NBA for 15 years. He was a 6-time NBA champ as well.
As soon as you're playing pee-wee ball when you're about 6 years old, they say hit it right off that window, it'll go in, and kids learn it, and then it sort of fades away as they get older. But it's a great way, especially in the post, to finish.
Zam Jones needs help. Finds Zoe Brooks. It's been all NC State in the second half. Good hands. Johnson couldn't steal it. And then a foul. A reach in on Miles. That's her fourth.
Coach Verdi not pleased with that call right there. They were trying to pin Jones, create a little bit of a trap, and ended up being a trip.
And that's the challenge for Pitt. 9 healthy players. 2 starters, Amaya Jenkins, Carol Williams out for the year. And Lauren Russ no longer with the team, so just 9 available. They're basically playing with 8 for the next 10 minutes. Rivers into the crisscross game. Really good hands from Johnson. Oh, wait, a blocking foul. That was called late by our third official, Kevin Spartak.
Coach Verdi beside himself right there. There was a lot of contact. Got the bump right there. Looked clean on the reach down, but there was a lot of displacement on the bump. So I think it's a good call, but Coach Verdi most upset that the referee right next to it didn't make the call. So,
and that's the lead ref, Tiffany Bird, who did not call the foul.
So that's a tough call to have somebody come and give help to it. Could have just been an out-of-bounds play, possibly.
Rivers, who's a perfect 3 for 3 from the line tonight. Coming up Saturday, we have a triple header on the men's side in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech will host Wake Forest at 2. Then Notre Dame and Syracuse battle for. That's a big game for Coach Micah Shrewsbury. And then Cal will come here to Raleigh, take on NC State. Busy day on ACC Network. Meanwhile, Duke looks unstoppable, undefeated once again. Cooper Flagg has been maybe the best player in college basketball, and he continues for Duke right now.
They are, and right now they're carrying the flag for the ACC right now. Is really the only true contender nationally, but good enough certainly to get back to the Final Four.
Now what Rain Smith and Louisville have done, 6-1. Pat Kelsey brings the Charleston squad over. Louisville very impressive in the league. Their lone loss to Duke. Phi underneath, another bucket, 19 and counting.
She's got that high shot a little bit behind her head. It's very difficult to block even for the 6'6" Trieger.
Zam Jones with the ball movement, hits her first 3 since coming back from the hand injury.
She is a difference maker for this Wolfpack team. I'm sure Coach Moore is so glad to have her back.
And McDonald's All-American Jones. Fly into a triple team, no problem.
And there, Hayes tried to double. You had a help from Brooks, triple team. But again, she shoots it so high, there was no help.
It's a high 5 for Hadijah. And then Hayes breaks down the defense for 2.
Coach Moore is going to get Collier in there at the next dead ball to try and push her off that block. She's owning it right now.
Phi wants the rock again. And a reach in on Trieger. That's Tilda's 3rd.
Here, back-to-back buckets, including you see Brooks reaching in. You see Hayes double teaming. But again, probably too much space from Tilda right there. You see Coach Moore saying you've got to sort of belly up to her. You can't just give her that much space.
Think back to Leah King here at Pitt last year, all ACC. The development of the post play under Coach Verdi. It is fun to watch. And Phi's been unstoppable tonight. Here's Washington with it. Clock inside of 10. Phi comes for the pick. Washington's 3. That one's strong. Offensive board, Elmore. Washington's again. Another miss. And now Brooks pushing on transition. Elite vision from Zoe Brooks. Top 10 in assists in the ACC. Here's Hayes on the ball movement and a miss 3.
Hayes had too much space right there. Didn't have to rush it. Took her time and just didn't line it up.
Remember, the Pack hit 5 of their first 7 from deep. Now they're 3 of their last 9. Aaron Battle into the game at point guard for Pitt. The sophomore guard out of New Jersey. Pitt really working the clock. Johnson underneath. Goes window.
Nice.
Window's been open all night for Pittsburgh.
And nice job of Pitt. Johnson has a little bit more size than Jones, and so they posted her up, threw it over the top. Easy, just bank off the glass. Well-coached team, this Pitt squad.
Tori Verdi got a huge win Sunday, down 32 over SMU. A dramatic comeback, largest in D1 history on the women's side. We have a foul away from the ball. It's now in the bonus if you're NC State.
And I think for Pitt, they don't necessarily have the players that's going to get them in the top half of the ACC right now. Coach Verdi's got to do that through recruiting, through the portal, but seeing the way they play and seeing how hard they fight, I feel like the trajectory of this program is going up.
The Pitt team that won 2 games his first year, won just 1 game under the previous staff. It's been a nice turnaround for Pitt. Despite the record, they've shown a lot of progress. Now keep in mind with the foul trouble, Elmore 3, Washington's 3, 5-3, and Miles 4.
And that's one thing we've talked about a little bit in the second quarter, but Coach Verdi, he just is going to gamble. He's going to play his players and hope he doesn't lose them. It's a gamble midway through the third, but that's how he's going to stay in the game because his bench is so thin. He wants his best players out there.
Like Kenny Stabler, you got to know when to hold him. Zoe Brooks knows when to fold him, and she knows when to roll into a jump shot, but a miss in transition.
That is her sweet spot right there. Surprised she missed that. She's been so well at that pull-up jumper.
Back inside to Phi. A good tip from Collier on the switch. She just checked in for Traeger.
And you see the difference right there. She was a little more physical, and Phi caught it much further from the basket.
Elmore on Collier. Double team. A lot of steps. And a travel. Turnover Collier.
She tried to go with the up and under step through, but there was so much movement.
You know, you and I were counting these steps pregame. It's 1 Mississippi, 2, and then sometimes that 3rd and 4th step.
That's right.
We have a coach called timeout. We'll take it here in Raleigh. 8-point game. NC State extending its lead out of the timeout. As a reminder, help people affected by the California wildfires this year. Donate at redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover all across the West Coast, and especially our friends in Southern California. It's been a crazy year for weather across the country. Hurricane Helene victims, fire victims in California, and Red Cross can always help out. It's a great time to show the rallying ability of our nation to come together and help our fellow Americans.
Right, and Evan, you're from California, so you know exactly some of the things they've got to go through right now, and so just our thoughts and prayers to all the victims.
Good news, we got great basketball on tap here in Raleigh. 8-point game, NC State +4 in the 3rd quarter, and Pitt in foul trouble as Michaela Elmore hits a huge 3.
ATO, something Debbie Antonelli loves to talk about after timeout. Great little set there by Pitt to get an open 3, and they continue to just hang around.
Here's Collier on the inside. Rivers hoists the 3. The bullet is good. Sanaya Rivers in double figures.
Sanaya is the go-to player for the Pack whenever they need a basket. That time she hits a big 3. She's improved so much from her freshman year to this year.
Marley Washington, who had 13 in the first half, has yet to score here in the second as James takes the assignment. A couple of lefties battling it out. Johnson on the switch. Challenges Jones. Good look. That's a bit off. Tip drill. Advantage Wolfpack.
NC State's defensive intensity seemed a little bit higher there.
Wolfpack 3rd in the ACC in scoring defense, and we're seeing it tonight. There's a block for Johnson, and Battle comes out with it. Aaron on the move. Washington's in space. Calls her number. Air ball.
Pitt without Phi right now. She's ready to come back in, but a little bit of a danger time if NC State can push this over 10. You could end up seeing another Pitt timeout if they get a couple more buckets.
Westmore's team very deliberate in the second half. Jones attacks. James has unlimited range. That's the challenge for Johnson. Little step back. No good. Rivers the board. Fresh 20.
And NC State knows Pitt's in foul trouble, so they're trying to penetrate, see if they can draw another foul.
And that's the first offensive rebound for the Pack. They're typically a really good rebounding team. So Rivers gets the extra clock, gets into her bag. Great dish. Collier on the finish. And the vision of Rivers amazing.
She's got such good vision, and give credit to Mallory Collier as well. Not just standing around and watching with a great cut to the basket.
Second chance points feeling the Pack in this 3rd quarter. Now Pitt really needs a bucket down 10. Elmore shot fake. to the bucket. Window is open. It's the 7th time Pitt's gone off the glass.
And Isaiah James right there trying to draw the charge. She leads the team in drawing charges. It's a stat that NC State keeps track of, and she does a good job of it, but didn't get the call there.
Why don't we keep that stat nationally?
That's a very good question because it's so relevant. It's so hard to do. You got to give credit to the defenders that do it.
Rivers is knocking in threes again. Back-to-back triples for NC State. And a timeout, and actually a technical foul on the Wolfpack bench, which will lead to a timeout. Sanaya
Rivers is the leader of this team, and when they needed some big buckets, she hit the big three. She got the drive and dish to Collier, and then she got another big three. Wolfpack now up 11 here late in the 3rd quarter.
Leading by 11 late in the 3rd quarter, but Wes Moore a little disappointed going into the timeout. A technical foul called against the Wolfpack head coach.
Right, we don't have exact film of it, but it was a quick tee right there. I think Coach Moore probably upset about the potential charge call 2 possessions before, but Pitt will come out of that. Not only do they call the timeout to settle things down, but they're going to get 2 free throws here.
That'll be 2 big points for Erin Battle if she can hit these. 75% shooter. And right when Pitt needed the deep breath, NC State 6-0 run starting to pull away. The foul gets them right back in the game.
It certainly does for Pitt, and we've talked about it. Every time State tries to pull away, Pitt has made the play. There's 2 free points right there. They're going to try and cut it to 7 or 6 on this offensive possession. NC State's got to up the defensive intensity.
Remember, Pitt was down 31 at halftime on Sunday. Came back to win by double figures. This is nothing new for the Panthers. Fine attack mode. How about 23?
Coach Verdi talked about that exact thing right there, that she's got so much more confidence on the rip through and go. They knew she had an athletic advantage on Mallory Collier, and so they sort of set it up, cleared some space, and she drove for the layup.
5th game with 20 or more for Fine. These are big points.
And another great ATO for Pitt, the coach.
And now Fine a block. Collier the board. Throws up and banks it in.
Great job by Collier staying with it. Offensive rebounding is huge.
Think of that. 2 boards, 2 buckets in the quarter for State. And then Fine is blocked by Collier. They'll stay here.
Nice job by Mallory, really trying to. It's a sophomore now against a 5th-year senior, but she is battling.
Mallory Collier was the full-time starter until January. Has come off the bench in her last 5 games.
After that technical, you can feel it getting spicy in here. Crowd's getting revved up. Teams are sort of really battling. They got a game on their hands.
Add a little cilantro and Washinitz. Here's a foul on Collier, fighting for space. That's Mallory's 3rd, much to her dismay.
Washinitz trying to set the screen right here, and I think Mallory just sort of bowls her over. You know, you're trying to pinch through, but great job by Washinitz setting the screen.
There's pinching through, and then there's rolling through.
Yeah, if it's that tight, you're pretty much got to go around it.
Now Washinitz with the rock, guarded by Rivers. Goes into Collier. That time good defense. And it goes the other way to NC State. Big minutes for Collier tonight.
And good job standing her ground right there, not drawing the foul, making Washinitz take a tough shot, which she missed off the side.
NC State shooting the ball well in this quarter, but turnovers have been the bugaboo. 59% in the 3rd for the Pack. Hayes left alone, and that streak continues.
Good job by NC State with ball movement, getting the open shot in the corner.
Johnson coast to coast to the free throw line. They caught Hayes a little late defensively.
And back on that possession by NC State, it's a 2-3 zone, but it's such a matchup that if you can get the ball movement, you're going to end up getting an open look in the corner. And that's exactly what NC State did.
Important free throws for Pittsburgh, who's 8 of 9 tonight. This would go down at the moment as Pitt's best game from the free throw line all year. And it's rather fitting it comes off Pitt's best second half of the season. We say momentum is fickle in college basketball, but you can feel the momentum if you're Pitt tonight.
They are, like we've seen it, they are a much different team than when conference started. They started the conference slate 0-4, got the big win, and now they're going to be a tough out for any team going forward.
And Pitt will gear up for top 25 UNC Sunday, so it's not going to be any easier this week.
That's one challenge for them, is that their schedule really gets hard. A lot of ranked teams coming up.
Gokdang and Utsby are ready for that matchup. You can watch that on the ACC Network. Here's Hayes going inside. Collier lost it. Loose scrum. Out of bounds off of Collier. And remember, Fi's playing with 3 fouls defensively.
I like the effort to get it inside there, but that is a tough angle pass by Hayes. It ended up having to be a very low pass, which is difficult to handle. Now, Pitt can look for the 2-for-1 here if they want. 44 seconds left.
This is a Pitt team that's work clock all night. Not a team looking to push tempo.
And it looks like they're not, based on how long it took them to get down. I don't think they're going to rush it.
Washinitz gets the switch. Washinitz challenges James. Goes to the left hand, no good. And a foul on Washinitz. That's her 4th foul as well.
No, it looks like they just went without a bounds.
Okay, my apologies.
So that's a big break for Pitt.
Last touch by Washinitz. Important defensive possession if you're Pittsburgh, keeping this a single-digit game. And it's in the hands of the top scorer, Sanaya Rivers. She has 15. Back to Rivers. Inside of 8. Kicks it to Jones. The freshman, first game back from injury. Works baseline. Late in the clock. Offensive. And Fi has been everywhere. The Roy Kent of Pitt women's basketball.
She has done it on both ends of the floor tonight. She is a superstar. Jones had to go. The shot clock was running down, but Fi was able to get position right on the edge of the lane. And she hasn't been with 3 fouls. She has stepped in there and taken 2 charges.
That shot is actually off in time, but a miss for Pitt. Roy Kent, Mary Washinitz, and Hadijah Faye keeping Pitt in it. We got a 9-point game through 3 quarters. Tonight here in Reynolds Coliseum, we got a tight one through 3 quarters. The Pitt ability to work the ball in the paint, that's what's kept Pittsburgh in this game so far.
And Hadijah Faye is 2 points away from her career high. She's already got 23. Pitt is shooting 46% from the field, 91% from the free throw line. And I tell you one big stat, Evan, when NC State gives up 70 or less, they're 11-0. But when they give up more than 70, they're 1-4. And right now, Pitt is on pace to crack that number. So NC State's defense is really going to try and step up here in the 4th quarter.
Wolfpack +5 in the 3rd, and now a 9-point lead entering the 4th. As the Wolfpack search for their 15th straight home win. Addison Hayes starts with the rock here in the 4th quarter. Gets the battle on Elmore. Hayes into the lane. Misses the jumper.
Good defense there by Elmore. That was a tough shot. NC State tried to get Hayes on an ISO.
Brooklyn Miles back in the game with 4 fouls, running the point for Pitt. Here's Fi on an island. Elmore underneath. Elmore goes to the right and draws a foul on Hayes. Now that's an area Pitt's taking advantage, getting to the free throw line.
And that was an interesting strategy. Elmore doesn't really post up a lot, at least not in this game. But they felt like they might have an advantage coming out of the timeout, going in on the undersized Hayes. Madison has guarded some big-time 4 players in her career, but fouled right there.
And this Pitt team has been rock solid, 11 of 12 from the line. Elmore, who entered the starting lineup in late December. Her last 3 games, it's 10 points, 8 rebounds a night. She's been huge for Pittsburgh.
And she wasn't necessarily expected to be a starter at the beginning of the year, but injuries to 2 expected starters has thrust her into the limelight, and she's really shown some improvement.
Amaya Jenkins, Kira Williams out for the year, and here's a turnover. Now battle pushing tempo ahead to Washinitz. Mary to the bucket, and Rivers is having none of it. A steal for Brooks, and Washinitz gets it back. Now that's incredible basketball on both ends.
Washinitz is not used to going up against somebody with that kind of athleticism. Rivers just took it out of the sky with the block.
Rivers showing you all the tools in her tool chest. Johnson in the corner. Fi with 4. Traveled and a turnover. Thanks to incredible defense.
Marley Washinitz thinks she's got an open drive here, but here comes Sanaya. coming across, just rips it down.
The Grim Reaper in red and white tonight.
The red hair is giving her Superman powers.
The purveyor of souls. 20 blocks for Rivers this year. That leads the pack. Sometimes I dive into my Stephen King dark references at times.
Right, you got to show your literary strength.
With Derek Jordan, the former coach at Towson, and Evan Budrovich, the literary nerd, as Brooks works underneath. Wide open three, and that's where the Wolfpack lived in the first half from D.
When NC State needs to make it happen, their veterans, James and Rivers, are stepping up, and that's exactly what you would expect.
Quick timeout for Tory Verdi, and they'll take it. NC State back to its largest lead of the night. What answer will the Panthers have? We'll find out next. South Bend to break down all the ACC action, every women's game, and get you a sense of what's cooking this weekend. ACC Network and the ESPN app. Big win for Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo tonight. And Florida State holds off a feisty Clemson team. You look at some of the best players in the country. Isaiah James, a big part of that list, another double-figure night tonight. And maybe the two best players in the country, Miles and Hidalgo. They make Notre Dame so dangerous offensively.
Notre Dame is so talented because you've got those two. You've got Citron, you've got Maddie Westbeld coming back, and you got Liatu King, who used to play for Pitt. I mean, that is...
And Kate Koval, maybe the freshman of the year in the ACC. Out of the timeout, Johnson on a good find from Phi, who's also showing off the goggles.
Third straight time after a timeout that Pitt has gotten an easy shot.
We talk about Heisman moments in football. Hadijah Phi is having her all-ACC moment tonight.
Anybody watching this is seeing her and going, she is definitely a first-teamer.
A transfer from Texas, first year in the ACC, and maybe having her best night of the season. Back to a 9-point game with Rivers. Shania backdoor slip. Hayes calls a layup and is fouled hard. That's Audrey Biggs, the reach in.
Well, NC State's kryptonite this year, and it's because they lost 2 posts to graduation last year. Anytime they go up against a team with a powerful post, it is a struggle. We saw it early with South Carolina and TCU. Saw it a little bit with Cal, but NC State has got to find a way to shut down some of these powerful posts if they want to do some of the things they did last year in the postseason.
Madison Hayes back to line. It was the Michaela Johnson foul. And this is a huge area emphasis for Wes Moore's team. Entered the game dead last in the ACC in free throws. Tonight they're 11 of 14.
And they did well against Stanford too. And Coach said, I listened to his post-game radio show, that instead of just focusing on it in practice between the 2 games, he just said, we're not going to talk about it, we're not going to do it. Ended up working. So maybe he's come up with a new strategy.
Much like Michael Scott, he's not superstitious, but a little bit stitious creeping in there.
As long as it keeps working,
they found their kryptonite tonight, able to break it. Here's Rivers' active hands. Loose scrum, out of bounds, and a foul on...
If that was Miles, that would be her 5th.
Good news for Pitt, it is not on Miles, but it's on Michaela Johnson.
So now every one of their starters has at least 3 fouls. That's got to be a storyline here in the last 7 minutes, that Pitt just does not have any fouls to give.
Look at that chart, 4-3, 3-3, with a team that has just 9 healthy players tonight. And then Johnson just got her to 3rd, so everyone on thin ice. NC State searching for answers offensively. Rivers had a mismatch. Instead, Brooks operates. Reigning all-freshman team standout. Brooks off the window, no. And now Miles with numbers.
Definitely missed Sanaya Rivers. She had a post up on Washington. Would have been an easy 2.
Johnson continues and 1. They'll count it. And we got a ball game here in Raleigh.
Coach Moore and Zoe Brooks both just dumbfounded. Looked like lowered the shoulder. Sort of got the elbow extension too. That is the continuation. That's a tough call right there. But give credit to Michaela Johnson for pushing the issue.
Michaela Johnson had the game of her life Sunday. 22 points, all in the second half in the Pitt comeback win. Pitt was down 30 in the second half of that one, down just 11 today.
It can't be said enough how much different they look. Their confidence is just going up leaps and bounds.
And testing one of the better teams in the ACC. Wolfpack tied for 2nd entering tonight behind Notre Dame. As Hayes shot fakes, and that's a travel, no double dribble, my apologies. Nonetheless, a turnover.
Hayes got the shot fake, got by her defender, but give Pitt credit. Came over to help. Hayes was hoping for a little dump off pass to Collier, but they sealed that passing lane and forced the turnover.
4 teams with 1 loss in the ACC. This is a signature moment for the Pack. And they pull away late against a feisty Pitt club. Washington gets the double. No points in the second half for Mary. Inside to Phi, and she tripped. That's a Pitt turnover.
And that was on Johnson right there. Phi had position. She was deep in the paint, but instead of a soft bounce pass, she lasered it and went off her fingertips. I think Coach Moore's gonna look for Sanaya Rivers to try and take over this game.
He's the maestro drawing up the offense here out of the timeout. Rivers goes to work. No look to Hayes. A missed 3.
Another good look that doesn't go down.
Now Washington's on the move. She's a 3-point markswoman, but off that time, Brooks the board. Zoe so calm and collected with the basketball. Brooks stripped on the way up. Good hands by Washington's. And Westmore wanted a foul.
Debbie Antonelli, the Hall of Fame broadcaster, likes talk about putting game pressure on, and I feel like Pitt is one more basket away from NC State feeling that game pressure of, hey, this game is in doubt. Right now, NC State really needs a bucket.
The last Pitt win in this series, 2015. There's a lot of expectations to break if you're Pitt tonight. 2 wins a year ago in the league, 1 win so far. And here's Rivers in a triple team. That's a bad pass. Stays here.
Got the tip right there, and I was going to say, you got to feel they're going to go to Rivers or James right here. They're the leaders. I think James is hungry for it. I would get her the ball if I could.
Tori Verdi on the all-energy team, amping up his Pitt squad. And he noted an energy shift from the coaching staff was so big Sunday in that 30-point comeback. There they are in a 9-point game. James makes it 12 for 3.
There it is. See, if I was that good in coaching, I'd still be in it. But right there, I called it. James with the big 3.
Inside to Phi, there's no doubt about that. And late contact, no foul for Collier.
NC State's got numbers.
4 on 5. Brooks, power play. Collier runs the lane. Nice vision for Brooks.
Great job by NC State attacking right there. Phi with the miss. She fell down, so NC State had numbers. Also give credit. Here, right, James gets a little bit of space. Washington's is too far back, hitting the big 3. And then on the next possession in transition, Brooks, Mallory Collier right there running the floor because Phi wasn't there, getting the big bucket, and NC State has pushed it from 9 to 14.
In a game where State had no transition in the first 3 quarters, what's unlocked it here in the 4th?
And it comes from the defense, and one thing we talked about with Coach Verdi is that they were going to send 3 people back at least on every shot to prevent transition. So give them credit for stopping NC State so far in this game. But in that situation, because they were a person down, NC State was able to take advantage.
A reminder, Sunday, we got a busy slate in the ACC. Quadruple header heads up to Chestnut Hill. Boston College hosts Syracuse. Then top 25 Carolina, fresh off a nice Duke win, host this Pittsburgh team. Louisville and Virginia Tech battle, and then to close out the night, Notre Dame back at home. They'll host SMU. Busy week in the South Bend campus coming up.
It really is. They've got obviously the biggest football game of the season next Monday. Probably taking up a lot of attention, but I tell you what, I've said it a couple times, but not only is the football team playing for a national title, but women's basketball is right behind.
A program that Muffet McGraw built from the ground up, and back in the top 3 once again. UCLA #1, South Carolina 2, Notre Dame 3.
And Coach Ivy has done a great job taking over. It's hard to take over after a legend, but she has just stepped up.
There's a bad pass. Nice save, Miles. Johnson needed the 3, and it rattles out. That would have been huge for Pittsburgh. A night where Pitt has played bucket for bucket with State until this late in the 4th. James, the late dagger for 3, and now she's got 20.
And she is the go-to player. Rivers to James. We've said it a bunch of times, but she's just so dynamic with the ball. Sanaya is and found the open shooter.
How about the 20th time in James' career, 20 or more points? Rather fitting. Here on a night where NC State honors Debbie Antonelli in the Ring of Honor. Washington's dying for a response. Gets the switch on James. Lefty v lefty. A missed shot. Rivers earns a jump ball. Really good hands from Washington. Anita Rivers kind of knows it.
Sanaya Rivers with the cross pass right there. James caught it in the shooting pocket, made a big three, and she is feeling it right now. Back-to-back threes.
And now a couple of whistles. Both teams animated. Good news, we're ready to play here. 4:06 to go. And that's a shot clock violation. Pitt lost track of the clock.
And Pitt is out of timeouts. I liked when Coach Verdi's used him in this game because he's kept them in the game every time NC State made a run. But in the last 4 minutes, he does not have an opportunity to settle his team if he needs it.
An 8-0 run has put this game nearly out of reach if you're NC State. Brooks operates. Zoe searching for her first assist of the night. Instead goes attack mode, and Zoe Brooks puts this game out of reach.
That could be the dagger. Zoe Brooks drove hard on the first team All-ACC. Phi, who's already had 3 fouls. And this is quite a finish. That is impressive.
Zoe Brooks, the orchestrator tonight, putting on a show on the telestrator.
And I think that NC State, the players at least, might have been a little surprised that this was as tight as it was, but they have come to play in this fourth quarter and really...
Another bucket, now a season best, 25 for Phi. To your point, though, too much NC State in this fourth quarter.
They've done it on both ends. They've stepped up the defense, and they've looked good on offense going to their go-to players.
The game as close as 9 after 3 quarters, and this foul looks to be on Michaela Johnson.
Well, we just talked about it a couple minutes ago. The Pitt, it was a 9-point game, and they missed a big shot. They were that close to putting some game pressure on NC State, but I think NC State could already feel it, so they stepped up their game, and before you know it, it went from a 9-point game to 20, 18 right now.
Michaela Johnson picked up her 4th foul, 4 on Elmore, 4 on Miles. How do you take this energy, this effort if you're Pitt going into Carolina Sunday?
I think if I'm Coach Verdi, I am pleased with this effort. There's no moral victories in college sports. You want to win, of course, but they are playing so much better, so much more confident. I would just say keep fighting the way you've been fighting.
Zaya James continues to attack. She'll go back to the free throw line.
There's nothing I've seen from Pitt so far that would discourage me if I'm on their staff. They are establishing the program they want to establish, and it's credit to Coach Verdi and his intensity.
NC State gears up for a Virginia matchup Sunday. And there's Zaya James on 20 points. That's the team best. ACCPM kicks off with Mark Packer all week. Weekdays at 4 Eastern. Right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. And something tells me the conversation of Notre Dame football will pop up later in the national championship on Monday. Who's your pick, Ohio State or Notre Dame?
Well, my heart wants to pick Notre Dame. They've got some ties to the ACC, but the way Ohio State's been playing, I feel like Ohio State's going to win by, we'll say 10.
Brooklyn Miles goes underneath. Phi draws more contact. And a career best 27 for Hadisha Phi.
Nice drive and dish by Miles. And then the finish. Great job. And Miles with 4 fouls was in danger of taking a charge there. NC State ideally would have stepped up and tried to draw it, but Phi is, I mean, we can't say enough about how well she's played tonight.
Phi filling some huge shoes of Leah King now at Notre Dame, the transfer out of Pitt. And she put on a record performance.
So impressive in so many areas, particularly she got those 2 early fouls and she's managed to play in the game without fouling out. I know she's got 4, but it's been a great job.
Here's Zaya James, nearly unstoppable in this fourth quarter. Phi the rebound. And if your NC State wins in 5 of their last 6, have been red hot offensively to start the ACC.
They have. They're really coming together. We're less than 7 weeks away from the postseason, and so it's at the point now where You've established your rotations. You've established who's going to be your go-to players, and now you got Zam Jones back. I think they still haven't necessarily answered the question in the post. I think it's game to game that Trigger is going to be the starter, but Collier against big-time posts is going to have to come in and really do the job.
Inside of 2.5 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Fun matchup in our 15th all-time meeting between these clubs.
One quick stat we talked about was when somebody gets to 70, NC State struggles. They've really stepped up their defense, only giving up 10 in the fourth quarter. They might keep them under that 70.
Is that the key to State's success? Is it more defensively than offense?
I think so, because NC State is so dynamic with their scorers, James and Rivers, that they're going to do well offensively. If they can hold teams down, that's going to take it from great to elite.
Watch Brooks into her bag. Defensive board Elmore as we move under 2 minutes. A dime intercepted by Rivers.
Now there's a football preview right there. That looked like a Hail Mary touchdown pass to Phi, but the defensive back, Sanaya Rivers, comes over with the interception.
I could imagine Rivers playing defensive back somewhere in the country.
There's some women's professional football out there, and she would be dynamite.
Fun note here in North Carolina, it's now an official sport in the Athletic Association, flag football. Brooks, another tight pass. We told you Pitt will face UNC coming up, then Virginia Tech and Stanford. As Washington hits a three, first points of the second half.
Coach Moore not pleased right there, gave her too much space.
And a timeout for Westmore. And if you're Westmore, clearly something to discuss in this timeout, but his club has hit a second gear here in the ACC. They have the 3 quad 1 wins, which are standalone. And Derek, the thing that stands out to me, when they're winning games, that opponent field goal percentage is impressive.
Right, defense, Coach Moore will tell you defense wins championships, rebounding wins championships. He trusts his offense. It's going to put points on the board. So it's when they step up their defense that really makes them an elite team. And right now they're projected as a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament, and there's such a huge difference between the 5 and the 4, because if you're top 4, you get to host those first 2 games. And to me, based on NC State's resume, that's their goal. They are right on the brink of getting that host spot, but they're going to have to collect some more big time wins against a Duke or Carolina, or especially when they got Notre Dame here. That would be a feather in their cap.
The Pack, in terms of ranked games, you have to go to February when things really amp up with Duke coming up. And there's a foul on Washinitz, which means Mary was just fouled out of the game after a nice performance tonight. Marley, my apologies.
Her 5th, and she's feisty, she plays hard, she's hit big shots. She's become somebody that the crowd dislikes, which just shows how hard she's playing. I was very impressed with her game tonight.
Showing a lot of grit and toughness, the junior captain. ACC best 16 for Washinitz. And here's Zoe Brooks back to the line. If you're Westmore, though, this is right on cue. 4 in double figures. Obviously, James, the 22. But these guards, when they play at this level, it's a tough team to stop.
I think Westmore, from an offensive standpoint, is pleased. They've done a lot of great things. It's the 67 he gave up on defense. Too many shots to Washinitz from 3, and too much in the post. So that's what he'll have to work on when he looks at film.
A missed 3 for Pitt. A little friendly fire on the rebound. And a Wolfpack team entered this game dead last in the league in free throw shooting. They make 80% tonight.
And that's another thing that's going to be huge in the close games going down the stretch. So another good sign for the Pack.
Now up 15 late. Zam Jones gets inside. Oh, what a block by Phi. Wait. A late foul. Only the 4th on Hadija.
And I think that everybody in NC State staff holds their breath just a little bit. Zam Jones returning from that injured hand. Gets hit pretty hard right there.
There was a lot of ball there, my friend.
It was definitely all ball at the top, but then they sort of collided.
Well, a hockey hip check at the bottom.
Yeah, a little bit of Hurricanes, Carolina Hurricanes
action. Of the NHL club. Great point.
But I think NC State feels really excited to get Zam Jones back, get some games under her belt. You talked about that February schedule. The January schedule the rest of the way is a little bit softer. They should be favored in all those games. so that they can hit their stride going into February.
Well, Danny Carnegie is well on her way to winning Freshman of the Year. Zam Jones is a huge freshman impact player, now back from that hand injury. Puts up 5 and what is now going to go down as a wire-to-wire win for the Pack. Inside to Phi. Nearly another for good measure. End her night on 28 points. It's a new career high. On a night where Debbie Antonelli joins the Ring of Honor, the Wolfpack play in her honor tonight. An impressive win, 4 in double figures, and Isaiah James carries the load for the Wolfpack.
And I think for Pittsburgh, it was a very impressive showing. They came in as big underdogs, but really fed off of that big win against SMU. So give them credit, but for NC State, they extended their home winning streak 15 in a row now. And you really saw the team come together, especially in the fourth quarter. So they are gearing up for a big run in February and March.
Wolfpack now 5-1 in the ACC. They're in second place. Pitt drops to 1-5, but showing some great resolve from the Pitt Panthers tonight. Thanks for joining us here in Raleigh. Wrapping up a fun week of college basketball. The matchup of Hadijah Phi and Isaiah James and company kickstart a fun night with Debbie Antonelli anchoring in the Ring of Honor here at NC State. For Derek Jordan and our talented crew, Daniel Zofel, our producer, I'm Evan Budrovich. Thanks for joining us here in Raleigh. NC State rolls to a 16-point win. This is a presentation of ESPN.